If a love story starts with a ghost, can it ever have a happy ending? I thought I was just serving coffee, pouring steamed milk into cups, and collecting tips. But little did I know, my life was about to take a drastic turn. I'll never forget the day I stepped into that old cafe, the smell of stale coffee and worn wood filling my lungs. It was a place where time stood still, where the past and present collided in a swirl of forgotten memories. I had just started working there, desperate for a paycheck to make ends meet. But as I wiped down the counters and swept the floors, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being pulled into a world that was not my own. The cafe had a way of getting under your skin, of making you feel like you were a part of something much bigger than yourself. And as I looked around at the faded photographs and the creaky old chairs, I couldn't help but wonder, what secrets was this place hiding? I started working at the cafe out of necessity, but the place felt off. The air was heavy with the scent of old books and stale air, and the shadows seemed to move on their own. At night, when the doors closed and I was alone, the silence was oppressive, and I could feel eyes upon me. It was as if the cafe itself was alive, waiting for me to uncover its secrets. One slow night, I found a handwritten note on a table. "You look beautiful in the candlelight. I've been waiting for you." My heart skipped a beat as I read the words, my mind racing with questions. The next night, another note appeared. "You don't have to be scared of me." But I was scared. I was terrified. The notes seemed to come from nowhere, and the feeling of being watched was suffocating. I tried to tell myself it was just a prank, but deep down, I knew something was terribly wrong. And then, the whispers started. As I wiped down the counter, I heard the unmistakable sound of footsteps, light, cautious steps, as if someone was trying not to be seen. My heart skipped a beat as I turned around, but I was alone. The silence was oppressive, heavy with anticipation. The cafe, once cozy and welcoming, now felt cold and menacing. The air vibrated with an otherworldly energy, and my breath misted in the air. The coffee cups rattled and the lights flickered, casting eerie shadows. And then I heard it. A whisper, soft and low, seemed to caress my ear. "I've been waiting for you." The words sent a chill down my spine, and I spun around, but there was no one there. The whisper seemed to come from all around me, echoing off the walls, trapping me in a world of darkness and fear. As I stood in the dimly lit cafe, I started talking to him, my voice barely above a whisper. It felt like I was sharing a secret with the empty room, and yet I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being heard. And then I heard his response, a low, melancholy voice that seemed to come from all around me. He told me his name was Victor, and as he spoke, I felt a shiver run down my spine. There was something about his voice, a deep sadness and longing, that made me want to listen, to hear more. As we talked, I learned that Victor had been a pianist, playing in this very cafe back in the 1920s. He had been a talented musician, and his music had brought joy to all who listened, but it was his love story that had brought him to this place, a story of heartbreak and loss. He had waited for his lover to return on a stormy night, just like the ones that still rolled in off the sea. But she never came back, and Victor's heart was shattered into a million pieces. He died here in this cafe, surrounded by the music and the memories of their time together. And now, he thought I was her. The realization sent a chill down my spine as I understood the depth of his sorrow. But as I looked into his eyes, I saw something there that gave me pause, a spark of recognition, a glimmer of hope. He thought I was his lost love, and as I stood there, I felt a pang of sadness, knowing that I was not who he thought I was. But as we talked, I found myself drawn to him, to the depth of his emotion, to the passion of his music. I felt a connection to him, a sense of understanding that went beyond words. And as the night wore on, I found myself falling for him, for the tragic figure that he was. I knew it was impossible, that he was a ghost, a spirit trapped between worlds. But as I looked into his eyes, I saw a love that was real, a love that was true. And I knew that I had to help him, to find a way to release him from his sorrow and set him free. But as I reached out to him, I felt a sense of trepidation, a sense of fear. What if I couldn't help him? What if I was trapped in this cafe, forever bound to his ghostly form? The thought sent a shiver down my spine, but as I looked into his eyes, I knew that I had to try.
At first, it felt like a fairy tale, a romance that transcended even death itself. But as the days went by, I started to notice a change in Victor. The whispers in my ear turned into demands. The love notes became warnings. Don't leave me like she did. The words sent a shiver down my spine, and I realized that I was trapped in a nightmare from which I couldn't wake up. One night, I tried to leave early, but every entrance and exit slammed shut, as if the cafe itself was determined to keep me prisoner. The windows frosted over from the inside, a thick layer of ice that seemed to pulse with a malevolent energy. I was trapped, alone and frightened, with no way out. And then I saw him. His face was reflected in the glass, twisted and hollow, desperate. The eyes that had once seemed so full of love and longing now seemed to burn with an otherworldly intensity. "Stay with me forever," he whispered, his voice like a cold wind that sent shivers down my spine. I screamed, and the cafe seemed to scream with me. The floorboards cracked and groaned, like the very foundations of the building were shifting and trembling. The paintings on the walls melted into dark, twisted shadows, as if the colors themselves were bleeding away in terror. I ran, desperate to escape the clutches of the vengeful spirit. The doors seemed to shift and twist around me, like a maze designed to keep me trapped. But I pushed and pulled and finally stumbled out into the cool, dark night. I didn't stop running until I was blocked away, gasping for breath and looking back over my shoulder. And that's when I saw him, standing in the window of the cafe, watching me, waiting for me. His eyes glowed with an otherworldly light, and his face was twisted into a snarl of rage and longing. I knew that he would never let me go, that he would haunt me forever, waiting for me to return to him. As I stood there, frozen in terror, I realized that Victor's love was not love at all, but a twisted obsession that would never be satisfied. And I knew that I had to get as far away from him as possible, to leave the cafe and its dark secrets behind me. But as I turned to run, I could have sworn I heard his whisper carried on the wind. "I'll always be waiting for you." The memories of the cafe still lingered, haunting me like a ghost. Sometimes, late at night, I'd hear the old scratchy love song playing in my head, and I'd feel a chill run down my spine. It was as if Victor's presence still lingered, watching me, waiting for me. And then, yesterday, I received a letter in the mail with no sender, no return address, just 6 words written in faded ink. "I will always find you." My heart sank, and I knew that Victor's obsession would never truly end. The letter seemed to burn in my hand, a haunting reminder that I'd never be free from his twisted love. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever experienced a love that felt unnatural? A connection that was so intense, It felt almost otherworldly. Share your own eerie experiences in the comments below, and let's delve into the darker side of love together. But be warned, once you enter this world, there's no turning back. The shadows will haunt you, and the darkness will consume you. So if you're brave enough, subscribe for more spine-tingling stories that will leave you sleeping with the lights on. Join our community of horror enthusiasts, and let's explore the shadows together. But don't say I didn't warn you.